This morning, USDA said we had another overnight sales to talk about, or another overnight sale. It involved soybeans this morning, and it was a sale to unknown destinations. The amount, well, it was 120,000 tons. So we'll continue that string of some soybean sales here recently. All in all, I mean, they're adding together, but each one is usually fairly small considering what we have gotten used to over the late fall and winter months. I want to go to Brian Hoops. He's with Midwest Market Solutions in Springfield, Missouri, and talk about our market action here. Brian, the grain markets have been firming up today ahead of the report that's coming out in less than an hour right now. And I want to take a look at these market numbers and get your thought on what we're seeing and why they're doing what they're doing today. Let's start with the corn market here. And we have the corn still trading 2 3/4 cents higher. We're now at $4.95 per bushel. It's been there most of the morning now. And the soybean market is firming up again. March now 13 3/4 higher at 13.86 1/4. It actually got as high as 13.90. Now remember, we got close to $14 earlier in the week. But anyway, we're actually now getting close to matching the highs. Did we take it out today? It looks like maybe we did on the March contract by a little bit.
Yeah, good morning, Marlon. I think we did just by a couple ticks, and we backed off of that, but we did make some new contract highs for another day here. We had another soybean sales you mentioned. Now, we had sales on Friday as well as Monday to China. So the trade is going to be suspecting that this sale was to China, just sourced as an unknown destination. But any soybean sales that we are getting off of our books is bullish. And if it's a China, it is extra bullish. So there's a lot of optimism going into this morning's report. You know, they talk about the Rose Bowl football game being the granddaddy of them all. In this case, this crop report is kind of the granddaddy of them all reports. This has so many moving parts in it. Not only do we have ending stocks and the final production numbers for corn and soybeans, but we also have winter wheat seeded acres, quarterly stocks, South American production, which is going to be very key this year because we know we've had some problems down south. So there's a lot of things that we want to talk about in today's report and a lot of things that the market will react to today.
So it looks like on the winter wheat seedings, they're looking at, 31.4 million acres this year. How does that compare to other years?
Well, that would be a little bit of an increase compared to last year, about 8 to 900,000 more acres being planted. I think the question will be as we go into the winter months and start to break dormancy in the spring, is how many of those acres, if they get abandoned, if producers decide that it's not worth trying to grow wheat, if the crop isn't going to yield very much, and they can plant another crop in place of it. So they may just outright abandonment, and that's going to be a question that we won't have answered until later in the spring or into the summer. So it's a key component. The USDA has been historically a little bit underestimating what the number is, or the average trade guess has underestimated the USDA numbers historically, and that's one of the key things that the wheat market will focus on today.
So in general, do you think the world wheat supplies are still pretty plentiful?
In general, yeah. I mean, you can say that, but Russia's crop is in dormancy stage, just like ours is right now. It's very dry across Russia. They don't have much of a winter snow cap, so they are in jeopardy as well. Their ratings aren't very good, just like ours here in the United States. So low-rated winter wheat crop that could affect that global supply.
We'll come back in just a moment and take a look at some of the livestock trade and maybe some of these outside markets as well. So, Brian, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're talking with Brian Hoops. We'll return after these messages. We're talking with Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, have you heard anything in the way of potential cash cattle market activity this week yet on the wire?
Yeah, nothing's showing up on the wires or any private sources that we have, Marlon. The show list numbers this week assessed are about 262,000 head, over 10,000 head larger than last week's show list. So certainly that's going to put pressure to the cash markets, the futures being down yesterday and again today, kind of anticipating some weaker cash tones. So, you could see instead of 111, 112 being traded last week, maybe 111 to 110 even traded this week. And that would pull that futures market down like it is doing.
What has the slaughter pace been doing here on cattle and hogs here recently?
Yeah, we've seen a pretty decent pace outside of the weeks of holiday shortened kill weeks. The pace that we're on now back to a normal pace. This is, I think, we're going to see very good slaughter pace in here. We have a lot of animals to work through. Packer margins are robust for pork. They're good for the beef market as well. I think we'll be in good shape as far as slaughter going forward here.
Let's look at our prices, and right now on the live cattle board in Chicago with our quotes provided by Bar Chart, the weakness continuing and the most weakness on the nearbys. February down 80 cents and now down 77 cents, so that would put us at 112.62 per hundredweight. Now the April is down 82 cents. We're at 117.52. On the feeder cattle market, feeders so far have had more pressure, and March down $1.30. We're at 135.60. We're actually over $1 lower on all contracts now across the board on the feeder cattle market. I guess that's not too unusual when you see a rally going on in the grains here, Brian.
Yeah, with the corn prices escalating, that's not unusual for feeder cattle to be under pressure. They saw a little bit of support yesterday because corn was down through most of the day. But, certainly going to follow what the corn market does for not only today after the report's released, but also for the rest of the week, kind of give us a little bit of direction.
And lean hogs, right now on the lean hog contracts, the nearby February contract, still hanging on to a small gain. 22 cents at 68.70 per hundredweight. April currently also 22 higher at 73.17. Good stuff, Brian. Thank you for talking with us. Appreciate it, sir. Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions with a look at our markets as we get ready for the reports coming out in a little over half an hour from right now. Tammy.